With a legacy spanning over 3 decades, each entry in the Final Fantasy series has brought something unique to the table. However, Final Fantasy X holds a particularly cherished place in my heart and the heart of fans all over. Released in 2001 for the PlayStation 2, it marked a significant milestone with its compelling story, innovative gameplay mechanics, and stunning visuals at the time. Yet, as the series has continued to grow and change, I can't help but think, was Final Fantasy X the last truly great game in the series? So in today's video, we're going to be discussing Final Fantasy X and if it was the last great Final Fantasy game in the series well over 20 years ago now. As you know, there's been a lot of Final Fantasy games since, and they've all been very divisive on how they've landed with players. As always, before we get to that, don't forget to like and subscribe, because 83% of the people that watch my channel on the regular are not subscribed, and leave a comment down below. I'm interested to know what you think on the video today. Do you agree with the standpoint or do you disagree? Let me know. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's quickly summarize the story of Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X follows the journey of Tidus, a young blitzball player from the futuristic city of Xanarkand. During a game, his city is attacked by a monstrous entity known as Sin, transporting Tidus to the world of Spira. In Spira, Tidus meets Yuna, a summoner on a pilgrimage to defeat Sin, and joined by her guardians, they travel throughout Spira, confronting Sin and uncovering the corruption within the Yevon religion. They learn that the cycle of Sin's destruction is perpetuated by the summoner's sacrifices, and that the final Aeon transforms into a new Sin, continuing the cycle. The group ultimately rejects this fate. Instead of using the final Aeon, they devise a plan to destroy Yu Yevon, the immortal summoner controlling Sin, and with the help of the Aeons, they defeat Yu Yevon, ending Sin's cycle of rebirth. In the aftermath, Tidus, revealed to be a dream of the faith, fades away and leaves Yuna to lead Spira into an era of peace and rebuilding. I know that's just like the really fast, short and sweet version of the story of Final Fantasy X, and it's a really emotionally charged and very well written story. So I'm going to try to approach this video today from a non-nostalgic lens and see if I can give you some reasons why I think Final Fantasy X was the last truly great Final Fantasy game. Here we go. There's so many standout, incredible, memorable moments in this game. So here's a few. The opening of Final Fantasy X is easily one of, if not the most iconic opening in a Final Fantasy game. Tidus seemingly has it all, then he's got nothing, on his own, in a new place, and has to find his way forward. Early in the game, Yuna performs a sending ceremony to guide the souls of the dead to the far plane. This hauntingly beautiful dance on the water, accompanied by the poignant music, is a really powerful visual representation of the game's themes of life and death. This is a great showcase for Yuna's role as a summoner and the weight of her responsibilities. Now, I know a lot of people take this particular scene out of context, the classic scene. Sure, it's pretty cringe standalone, but when appreciated within the context of the story, it's actually quite powerful. The entire point of the scene is to make the player feel awkward, because it's really unsettling to see people facing these terrible circumstances and then forcing themselves to laugh in such an unconvincing way. And the knowledge that the player has about Tidus not knowing what's supposed to happen to Yuna makes it all more heartbreaking. One of the most romantic and visually stunning moments in the game is the scene where Tidus and Yuna share a tender moment in the Macalania woods, culminating in a kiss as they float in the serene, glowing waters of the lake. This scene is celebrated for its emotional depth and beautiful animation, highlighting the growing bond between two characters, especially the maturation of Tidus. To me, it's a really great and pivotal moment in his character arc. The forced wedding of Yuna and Seymour in Bevelle is a dramatic, intense moment. The party's daring rescue attempt and the subsequent battle with Seymour has always been a standout moment for me, and if you've watched any of my videos in the past, you'll probably have seen me use that cutscene from time to time. I really loved it as a kid, and I still do now. It's such a great action-packed scene. The truth of the pilgrimage. It's interesting that Tidus is the only one traveling with the group that does not know of Yuna's fate at the end of the journey. Summoners die after receiving the final Aeon. Everyone in the group, I think, assumes that Tidus knows, but once he finds out, he of course wants to fight that fate. The group more or less says that they weren't really hiding it, but it's just too hard to say, and I get that. Man, there's some real weight to this scene. Finally, the final farewell. After defeating Yu Yevon and breaking the cycle of sin, Tidus begins to fade away as he was a dream of the faith. His final farewell to Yuna, where she tries to embrace him but he passes through her. Oh my gosh, it's one of the most heart-wrenching scenes in any game. This emotionally charged farewell underscores the themes of sacrifice and love that are present within the game. Honestly, it makes me ugly cry every time. And just in general, this story is full of so many twists and turns and pleasant surprises. There's a reason why this particular story in Final Fantasy X ranked so high in my Final Fantasy Stories Ranked video. Final Fantasy X also had a lot going on in terms of presentation that we probably take for granted now. It was a real technical leap forward in a lot of ways. First of all, Final Fantasy X was the first game in the series to feature fully 3D environments, making a major technical leap from the pre-rendered backgrounds of previous titles. Personally, I love those older games and I love the pre-rendered backgrounds, but when this came out to play Final Fantasy in a 3D world, it was totally amazing. The use of 3D backgrounds allowed for dynamic camera movements, which would follow cutscenes more fluidly and provide cinematic angles during exploration. The fully 3D environments brought the world of Spira to life with greater detail and realism. Iconic locations like the tropical island of Besaid, the bustling city of Lucca, and the haunting ruins of Zanarkand were rendered with stunning detail at the time on the PlayStation 2, making exploration a visual treat. This transition enhanced the game's visual appeal, immersion, and overall gameplay experience, and it really set a new standard for future entries in the series. Speaking of the transition to 3D, utilizing the capabilities of the PlayStation 2, the development team at Square Enix crafted highly detailed character models that brought new levels of realism and expressiveness to the game. This was really crucial for the game's storytelling, as it allowed for more nuanced and impactful character interactions. Moments of joy, sorrow, anger, and surprise were really effectively communicated through subtle changes in facial expressions, enhancing the emotional resonance of key scenes. The game's ability to convey complex emotions through detailed visual representations really helped deepen my connection to the characters of the story, and chances are yours too. Combined with the visual enhancements of the game, the use of voice acting in Final Fantasy X allowed characters to express emotions and personality traits more vividly than ever before, and it's the main reason that the characters of Spira were brought to life in a way that text alone could not achieve. You could connect with these characters on a deeper level, making their struggles, triumphs, or personal growth resonate more profoundly. For example, Tidus was voiced by James Arnold Taylor. His youthful and energetic performance really captured Tidus's initial naivety and then growing maturity throughout the game. I really do believe that being able to hear your characters then really allowed players to latch onto the stories. And while it's not necessarily true for every game out there and every character, the emotional attachment that I had to the story of the game when playing the original back in 2002, it's one of the first times that I really ever felt something while playing a game. It really blew me away. But hang on a second, do you like Final Fantasy content? Do you like deep dives into these games and JRPG related stuff? Well, you might want to hit that subscribe button because 83% of the people that watch my channel are not regularly subscribed. So hey, I would love for you guys to stick around and join me every week for a brand new video. Anyway, back to Final Fantasy X. Now, I also really enjoy the battle system and gameplay overall in Final Fantasy X. Now here we have the conditional turn-based battle system. Each character and enemy has a turn order determined by their speed, attribute, and specific actions taken during combat. The turn order is displayed on a visible timeline, allowing players to see and anticipate who will act next. This feature provides a clear strategic advantage as players can move accordingly. Now, I know this might not really matter for the run-of-the-mill random encounters or enemies that you can probably beat in 1 or 2 hits, but it really comes to life in some of the boss battles that are more long and difficult. Attacking, using abilities, or casting spells have different delays associated with them. Some actions are quick and allow characters to act again sooner, while others are slower and push the character's next turn further down the timeline. This really creates a great layer of strategy that you must weigh the immediate benefits of doing something versus delaying something else. Switching characters in and out of battle is another key feature of Final Fantasy X's battle system. At any point during their turn, players can swap a character on the field with one from the reserve, allowing them to adapt to the changing battle conditions and utilize different skills and abilities as needed. This really encouraged me to think strategically about the party composition and make full use of each character's strengths. And like I said about the Final Fantasy X story, there's a reason I ranked this battle system so high in my Final Fantasy Battle Systems ranked video. And just to add on to the battle system here, let's talk about the sphere grid. Final Fantasy VII really nailed the magic system with the implementation of materia, but I really feel like the next best thing to the materia system was the sphere grid. Unlike traditional leveling systems where characters gain predefined skills and attributes upon leveling up, the sphere grid offers a more flexible approach. Each character starts at a specific point on the grid and can move along interconnected paths. As you navigate the grid, you can unlock nodes that grant various stat boosts such as increased strength, magic, defense, so on and so forth, and new abilities as well. I really enjoyed this level of customization that the sphere grid offers, and I really think that the closest thing we've had to that since Final Fantasy X is like the license board in Final Fantasy XII. The world of Spira really feels alive in a way that I haven't felt since Final Fantasy X. Spira is a vibrant and deeply textured setting defined by its diverse landscapes, cultures, and omnipresent threat of sin. It is a world where the cycle of life and death is a central theme, and it's very well woven into the fabric of its society and religious practices. The geography of Spira includes a wide range of environments, from the tropical island of Besaid to the snowy peaks of Mount Gargazet. Each location is distinct with its own unique flora and fauna and architectural styles, which really reflects the various cultures and traditions of Spira's inhabitants. This is also enhanced by the Albed in trying to decipher their language, or even playing Blitzball, which is, not the most fun minigame in the world, but I really enjoy it for what it's worth, and the trials at every temple. Every time you go somewhere different, there's something new to do or someone new to discover. The world of Final Fantasy X is really enhanced by playing the game from Tidus' point of view. Everything is new here in a way that's different from playing, say, like Final Fantasy VII and Cloud comes back to Nibelheim. He already knows what's there, more or less. Everything here is new to Tidus and to us at the same time, so we feel that same sense of wonder that he has on his journey. Now, I've had some good experiences with some of the more recent titles like Final Fantasy 16 and 15. I haven't played the MMO games, and to be honest, I probably won't. They're huge time commitments for me right now at this point in my life anyway. And I know a lot of you are probably already typing, well, obviously you don't know what you're talking about if you haven't played these games. And yes, you're probably right, but they're different experiences that really aren't necessarily for everyone. Final Fantasy XII didn't really land for me, and the 13 trilogy was kind of hard to get into. So this is my thinking. Final Fantasy X was the truly last great Final Fantasy game in the series. After Final Fantasy X, the series began to diverge from its traditional roots, experimenting with various gameplay mechanics and storytelling approaches. While these subsequent games have brought their own innovations and successes, I just feel that they didn't have the cohesive magic and emotional impact that Final Fantasy X had. It had an emotionally charged story, and the unique gameplay system set a really high standard that subsequent games have struggled to match. The rich world of Spira, the unforgettable characters, and the strategic depth of the Spear Grid and the conditional turn-based system combine to create an unforgettable experience that resonates with me even now, 2 decades after its initial release. What about you? And in my opinion, Final Fantasy X represents a culmination of the series' strength, capturing the magic and the essence of what made Final Fantasy so loved. As the franchise continues to explore new directions, Final Fantasy X remains a benchmark of greatness, reminding us of a time when the series might have very well reached its peak in storytelling and gameplay. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I'm interested to know what you guys think, so please leave a comment down below. Hit the video here for more content, and don't forget to check out my turn-based JRPG podcast down below in the description. We'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.